This is Bob Petersen with Statewide Real Estate in Escanaba, Michigan. And welcome back to UP Sustainable Living. In the last couple of videos, we talked about what easements are and how easements can affect property owners. Today, we're going to talk about something that occasionally comes up when people are buying rural land here in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, and that is landlocked property. This is an important issue to understand, especially if you're looking at hunting land, recreational property, or remote acreage. Before we get too far into this, I also want to mention a couple of things I am working on. I'm in the process of building a new website for UP Sustainable Living, and it should be up in the next few weeks. This should provide a launch site for my videos and guides that I am also planning on putting together to make it easier for buyers and sellers to understand things like land, access, soils, easements, and other important topics here in the Upper Peninsula. So if that sounds useful to you, stay tuned. There's more coming soon. What is landlocked property? A property is considered landlocked when it does not have legal access to a public road. In simple terms, you may own the land, but there is no legal way to reach it. Sometimes you can physically get to the property by crossing somebody else's property. But unless there is a legal easement recorded for access, that could be blocked at any time. That's why legal access is one of the most important things to confirm when buying rural property. How land becomes landlocked. Landlocked parcels usually happen because of how land was divided in the past. Years ago, a large property might have been split into several smaller parcels. If proper access easements were not created at that time, one or more of those interior parcels may end up without a direct route to a public road. This is something we occasionally see with older property divisions or land that has changed ownership several times over the years. Here in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, access can sometimes be a little more complicated than people expect. In some cases, the only way to reach a property may require crossing different types of land. That access might cross private property owned by another landowner, corporate timber company property, state land, federal land, and sometimes access may cross more than one of these types of property before reaching the parcel. Because of that, it becomes very important to confirm that legal access exists across every property involved. Just because there is a road, trail, true track leading to the land does not necessarily mean there is legal access. Why this matters. Landlocked property creates several problems for a landowner. For example, it may be difficult or impossible to build on the property. Financing may be harder to obtain. Future buyers may hesitate to purchase it. And land access could depend entirely on a neighbor's permission. Even if the neighbor allows access today, that situation could change in the future. Can landlocked property be fixed? Sometimes landlocked property can be solved by creating a new easement. This usually involves negotiation with a property owner to allow legal access across their land. In some situations, the courts may establish what's called a necessity easement. But that process can be complicated and expensive. That's why it is always better to understand access issues before purchasing property. A practical tip for buyers: if you are considering buying land, always confirm two things. First, does the property touch a public road? And second, If it does not, the property have a recorded legal easement for access. Your real estate agent and title company can help verify this information during the purchase process. Understanding access rights is one of the most important parts of buying rural land. Taking the time to review easements and access before purchasing property can prevent a lot of problems later on. If you're thinking about buying property or selling land here in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, I'm Bob Petersen with Statewide Real Estate in Escanaba, and this is UP Sustainable Living, where we talk about land ownership, rural property, and sustainable living in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Thanks for watching.